My bad, y'all. My screen froze, so I couldn't stop the intro on time. My bad. Forgive me, all. But anyway, thank you all for being here. It's me, Ari Dawson, Rashid. I'm your anthropologist and sociologist. As always, if you're Italian, Emiliano, please. Thank you. In this live stream, I want to talk about some of the events happening in the world right now. This is not really a teaching that I'm about to do today. So I'm just going to check some of the news that goes on. One moment, y'all. I'm going to teach, but um, still hold on. Just one moment. So one moment. By the way, if you're able to donate the links below, please donate, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. All right, so let me share my screen. And again, I'm going to stay here for long. Just want to talk about some of the recent events that are ongoing. And well, earlier this year, at the end of February, the United States and the states of Israel launched an attack on Iran. As you all know, the propaganda was regime change, just some assassinations back and forth, some bombings, and the regime would change. They would put the crown prince of Iran, from the dynasty that was kicked out in the 70s, would put him back on the throne as the new king of Iran, or emperor. Some claim he should be an emperor, but anyway, would turn to a monarchy, a liberal monarchy, favoring the West and the Zionists. That was the whole plan, right? Well, you guys, it ain't going that well, isn't it? These are all the strikes that have happened up until now. As you can see, they bombed many places in Iran. Iran also many places around. But hold on. Okay, I have the right microphone now. Sorry if the sound was a bit low, but anyway, I have the right microphone now. Settings, my bad. So anyway, how's the war in Iran going, y'all? How? Where's the regime change? Hold on, let me go to the kitchen. Where, oh, where is the regime change they talked about so long? How long has it been going on already? Okay, let me close this. It's been going on for 3 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days, almost 4 months. More death and destruction. None of their goals are achieved, y'all. To the contrary, the United States suffered a lot. And always, Mr. Trump, Donald Trump, keeps saying a deal is imminent, a deal is imminent. Where is the deal coming? Oh, and don't forget, yeah, the Knicks that won in New York recently. So I'm about to uh, hold on. Let me go back up here. They had a win in this sports event, a win in New York City recently. So okay. By the way, Knicks, console Knicks, Nixies, Knickers, Neckers, Swamp Monsters. It's from Dutch, and the colors are from the Dutch Prince flag. All right. This is why, because as do with the Flag of New York City over here is derived from the Dutch Prince flag. Let me show you it. It's a Bronx flag. What do you know? You go back in time, you go up, look at this design. New York used to be New Amsterdam, part of the Dutch Empire. It's a Prince flag. You see the flag of the Dutch Republic, which occupied, flag of New York City. See over here is based on the Prince's flag. Flag of the Bronx, Manhattan, flag of Albany. Yeah. So you can see all of it over there. Again, don't seem it's going to be peace around the Middle East anytime soon. The war in Ukraine is still happening. UK foresees suspect the Russian shadow fleet tanker in the English Channel. That also happened. Now, about events happening in the world right now, there's one shift I want you to pay attention to. Okay, let me stop the screen sharing. And that's the following. When a military power loses its reputation, the finances that were backing up that military power will also crash. If we go back to ancient times, the reason why the Roman Empire was able to last for so long was because of the economy internally. So there was a big cash flow, financial flow that backed up the economy internally, and that's why it continued. The military of the Roman Empire only facilitated the cash flow within its borders. A military in itself cannot last for long unless they're boosting a cash flow that can power an economy. That's how it always has been. So let's go beyond the Roman Empire. Look at all the regional powers that emerged in human history. Local powers, worldwide powers. Look at the colonial empires. Yes, they had a big military, but the military itself was not the reason why these empires or these nations were so successful. The military justified and even boosted, not justified in the sense that it was justified, but kind of legitimized, better said, in the eyes of the public, the cash flow, the financial leverage. Every empire in human history centered around the financial leverage that had to justify. Because the financial leverage also financed the military. Without a financial leverage that people agree to, no empire and no nation can last. Imagine you go to China right now as someone from Uganda. And let's say now you have a bunch of Uganda. Let's say you have 20, 30, even 50,000, let's say 100,000 people from Uganda migrating to the People's Republic of China. Let's say these 100,000 Ugandans eventually become billionaires over there. And eventually it becomes even like this that the the Uganda migrants in China are richer than the regular business world of China. Because of this, eventually more actual indigenous Chinese people will go to the Ugandans in order to get jobs, invest, all of that. So eventually, it would be the Uganda people now in this scenario running China, even though they're not the legitimate government over there. How many of you understand already this is going to be a big conflict? As a matter of fact, the first individual from Uganda that migrates to China and becomes financially autonomous over there, the Chinese Communist Party will be on their ass to either evict them or to take or to confiscate all they have. Why? Because in China, it's normal, even now, to expect a Chinese individual to have financial autonomy. But here's the thing though, worldwide worldlings can't stand anyone having financial autonomy. Society doesn't condone anyone financial autonomy, or that is society. However, if someone does break through and get financial autonomy, people prefer to be one of their own that at least they're familiar with, even if they don't approve the financial leverage someone has. But for someone from a total different community, total different land, to come and become financially autonomous in the host community, that's something that no nation on earth and no group on earth will accept. They never accepted human history and won't accept it now. No nation, no tribe on earth throughout human history, nor today, nor in the future, would ever accept nor condone a stranger from another community coming in their midst and becoming financially autonomous, having leverage over their daily lives. That does not happen, y'all. Never happened, never will happen. Because that would undermine the local escapism of the public, because follow mankind is all about escaping, would undermine local escaping, and someone financial autonomy. You can say no to them, but it's going to backfire on you because because why would you say no to someone who have the leverage? You could use their leverage for your advantage, right? But if you say no to them, when they don't deal with you, guess what? They're not some homeless individual you never see again, or not some employee you can send away and they can't do much against you. They're someone with financial autonomy. They're able to strike back. If they don't strike back, people that support them may strike back against you. And you have to run into them anyway because they're the one with the leverage. And if you say no to them over and over again, and now they're in your face with leverage, it's going to look bad on you. It's going to be stressful on you. It's going to be humiliating on you. The mental damage and emotional uh, uh, damage you're accumulating by going against yourself is going to be on you. The weight and the damage will be on you, not on the individual who said no to. That's why the world does not condone nor endorse anyone obtaining financial autonomy, y'all. Hold on. One moment, y'all. One moment. So understand this. Society never condones nor accepts, especially not supports anyone obtaining any financial autonomy. Society doesn't mind you making cash, as long as you make cash in a way, as long as you make cash on the terms of society's restrictions, in a way that they can always blackmail you or shut it down. The more you begin to exceed however people feel about you, let's say you're just a cleaner, sweeping and mopping floors, but you earn $250,000 US dollars a year, a quarter million US dollars a year. People wonder, you're just sweeping floors and you earn so much? Now, if you were sweeping floors in a nuclear facility where you have danger for your life, people gonna say, "Oh shit, you risk your life every day." Okay, that's different. Then they may still think 250K a year is too quite a lot, but they'll be okay if you earn like 50K or 100K. If you're a medical doctor and you earn only, uh, let's say, 50,000 US dollars a year, people say, "Well, Donovan, you're a medical doctor. You have to take a lot of risk. How come you earn so little?" People don't be okay with that. They're not going to feel good about it. So let's say you are someone that sweeps and mops the floors. I earn 250K a year, or worse, half a million US dollars a year. People are going to wonder why pay someone this much. And indeed, it's quite overwhelming a lot for someone just sweeping the floors. This can be a legal arrangement, totally legal, nothing criminal, and still people don't feel okay with it because now you have someone sweeping floors and they have over half a million a year. They're a millionaire. There are many more people sweeping floors and they don't get it much. And people wonder, why should you have all this cash for just sweeping the floors? Such an individual would face backlash, even a threat against his or her life, if they were in that position. Now, the examples one sweeping and mopping floors and earning half a million a year, that's quite extreme, way extreme. I know it. Nevertheless, it illustrates what I'm teaching over here. Anytime you are financially better off than how people feel about you, you have overstepped society's boundaries. The public collectively has restrictions they want to enforce out there because they crave control. For mankind craves control to compensate lack of self-worth. So when you don't allow them to control you, or you don't give in to people's control demands, they feel hurt, rejected, and they strike back at you, take revenge on you. That's what the whole doctrine of boundaries is all about, control. The moment you overstep society's boundaries and you become more financially prosperous than people feel about you, people are going to feel violated and invaded by you. They're going to feel like you intruded into their quote unquote space. By the way, there's no such thing as personal space anyway. You only have space on Earth where trees grow, animals roam around, human beings live. There's no such thing as personal space, like your own parallel universe. If you believe in private lives and personal space, then you believe in parallel universes, because that's the exact same thing. Like, oh, Friday goes to the shop, goes to the grocery store every Tuesday. That's his business. Or Kevin here is cheating on his wife. Well, his business. Or the government is not dealing with the child molesters properly. Well, that's their business. So everyone has their own parallel universe where things happen separately from one another. That's what a lot of people believe, and it's totally bullshit. You would think that adults are facing reality as it is and realizing you serve the Heavenly Father. No, they believe in anything, no matter how fantastic and ridiculous it is, as long as you submit to Heavenly Father, y'all. Because people crave control. They're even willing to resort to violence. If they don't want to use violence themselves, they trade the violence of the government or of other groups against people they consider illegitimate just to have the control. That's fallen mankind. So, listen, anytime you overstep society's boundaries by becoming more financially prosperous and more economically relevant than how they feel about you, they will strike at you. Where they will strike at you directly, and this often happens in places like Latin America, where you have a shop owner, someone, a shopkeeper, someone who has their own shop, and it's just a small shop, but they earn relatively well with the shop, and then you have these criminals come by and say, yo, listen, there are thieves around here, y'all. And the police isn't that strong over here. So you know what? We're going to protect you against all these thieves, but you have to pay us protection money. And guess what? It's not even an offer, because the moment you don't pay protection money, they're the ones destroying your business or threatening the life of your family, friends, your children, all of that, or they burn down your shop. So you pay them. Sometimes you pay half of your income to them as much as they want so that they leave you alone. So they actually are extorting you. Why? Not because they want the cash, because a lot of them waste the cash anyway, just don't want you to have all that cash so that you don't have so much to say in the community. And extortion is often allowed by the public because often, let's say you have a shopkeeper who earns quite some good cash, and he is not arrogant. He has no boastful attitude, but he's just kind of confident, like, okay, I earn a good cash, lives a good life. But the thing is, people don't want to admit that this guy has his leverage. So, but nobody wants to vandalize your shop because nobody wants to be called a criminal. Nobody wants to go to prison. So now you have criminals who don't have much to lose. They're the ones destroying the guy right now, wasting all the cash, and the people know about it, but they don't stop it. Why? Because the criminals are doing what they actually want. They're actually harming that guy's finances. That's what the people want, because the people don't want him to have all that leverage. The people don't feel comfortable with him having that leverage. So now the criminals are hanging out the wealth to the public. And that's why those criminals get away extorting the individual, because they have a backup from the people. Even if the police would arrest all these criminals, there'll be other criminals taking their place. Why? Because the people are not okay with that guy having that leverage. Now, what does that have to do with the current world events? For a long time, what we call the Western world, under the lead of the United States, was considered the legitimate force when it came to decision making in the world. So a lot of people cater to the West. So if you were a pale-skinned European, whether you were from Germanic or Slavic or Celto-Iberic or Celto-Germanic descent, and you were becoming prosperous financially, people wouldn't be that quickly to check on you. How is it even legitimate? Is this okay? People had this racist white supremacist bias. Yeah, and this is why people like Epstein and all those other weirdos got away with the crimes for a long time, and some still do, because people wanted to belong to this quote unquote white world, what you should call the Western world. As long as the Western world was quote unquote winning through its violence, people could use it as an excuse for not challenging it and get along with it. People got along with it because the Western world offered escapism as long as you put up with their extortion. The Western world was really it's actually the only civilization that normalized narcissism and tells you you have a right to be narcissistic and be neglectful. We'll have your back. Just make sure you keep paying your taxes. That's it. That's the Western world. That's the quote unquote liberty that the West offers, which is quite unstable, but that's how the Western world got so much support. And that's why many people kept condoning and even excusing the atrocities, war crimes, and human rights violations of the Western world. Why? Because if the West did the dirty job for them, now they could escape and will whatever they will and always have a reason. They didn't have to look at themselves, face themselves, own up to anything. But now that the Western world is losing over and over again, that perceived legitimacy is gone also. So there's going to be more people challenging it. Oh, and you know what the worst problem? You know what the worst scenario is right now for the West? Is that the West has so many migrants, what they consider the global South, who some of them came in as refugees, others were asylum seekers, others were actually just migrants, some are illegal, but you have a huge population from what they call the global South that moved into what we call the Western world, but they're not there because they want to become part of the Western world. They're there because they want to bring it down. Now, I'm not saying that every asylum seeker, every migrant, or every refugee that came to the West is part of some secret plot to bring down the West. All that, absolutely not. No, that's what a lot of these right-wing conspiracy theories are believing. No, I do observe that there are a lot of these people that come to the West, but not because they want to be part of the West, because they want to bring it down. And they don't arrive with guns, and they don't arrive as battalions with guns and bombs and say we're going to bring down the West, because they know the U.S. military will just shut them down, or the police of the other countries will arrest them. It will be over. So they come in posing as people that need help, and once they're in, they get their papers, the residence permit, all of that. Now a lot of them just activate and go nuts. And this is not some Islamic conspiracy to Islamize the West like some of the Islamic folks claim. No, it's just that the Western world did so much damage, so much harm worldwide, caused all this trauma, and they seriously thought they could get away with it without any consequence. Well, guess what? The consequences are at home now. And the locals in the Western world have to deal with it. Now, why am I mentioning this? Again, not every refugee, asylum seeker, or migrant that comes to the Western world wants to bring on the West. I dare say the overwhelming majority of them do not. They really want a better life and think that the West is a good place to do. But there are a lot of these quote unquote newcomers. A lot of them, I don't know the percentage of them, but a lot of them were just filled with bitterness and just want to explode. They have nothing to lose. They don't care about the future. They just want to take out the anger on the West. And now you have a lot of Europeans and also a lot of other people who are living in societies dominated by Europeans calling for remigration. Send these people back, send them back, send them back. Yo, it's too late, y'all. The only way forward is to own up to the decline of the West right now, for faith iniquities of your forefathers, and learn to live with those newcomers in a constructive way. That's it. Any way to want to escape, be left alone, it's going to backfire further. And that's why the right wing is crashing right now. The right wing is crashing right now because they don't have any solutions. And didn't I tell you that a while back that this whole right wing movement that came up in the world is going to fail? I told you this in live stream years ago. It's going to fail, and it's failing right now. Look, I'm not a doomsday prophet over here. For believers, we have hope. We have the power of God to live life to the full right now. I'm just saying, coming decades are not going to be easy. They're not going to be. All that trauma, especially the trauma caused by the Gaza genocide, the trauma caused by the war in Ukraine, the trauma even caused by the pandemic that happened, also now with the war in Iran, also the failed integration of a lot of these migrants into the West. All this trauma is not just going to go away tomorrow. It's something that's going to play out and even escalate further. Believers have to be ready to overcome and overrule all of this. Simple as that. Stop talking about going to heaven or wish for some rapture that's not even biblical. We need to live right now and deal with things right now, y'all. Look what happened in Belfast recently. Horrible crime. Some I'm not sure if he's some people call him a asylum seeker, but as far as I know, he's a migrant from Sudan that attacked an indigenous individual from Northern Ireland, attempted to behead him. The images went viral, and man, a riot emerged in Belfast, and also small riots happened elsewhere in the UK. There were, as a matter of fact, let me just show some news articles so you know what I'm talking about. Hold on. Okay. Okay, let me look at this. Let me share. Let me share with you. All right. So, yeah, things went crazy. People even call it a civil war emerging. Some call it a pogrom because there were racist thugs that broke into homes of migrants, pulled them out, even lit their homes on fire. So there's a lot of terror and fear emerging right now about this situation. Just know I'm not going to come with some cute and nice message like, oh, it's all going to be okay. Just vote this, vote that, or just pray it's going to be all right. Listen, things about to get uglier. And as believers, we need to be ready. Okay? All right? Belfast riots here. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about all this political drama that goes on because I don't want to bore you with all of that. I just want you to understand here. Um, there's a huge backfire happening right now. And this backfire is not going to get lesser. Believers have to walk in power to the full so that they will be financially autonomous, economically relevant, so that they're able to deal with all the backlash happening right now. And that's how we can be of any good us around us. We can't just keep going to church every Sunday and keep crying and begging and praying in church and expect things to work out. No, we actually have to be active in the faith here and now. Of course, all under the guidance of my Father. We don't do it by our own strength. Nevertheless, we need to be active so we can actually make a positive difference down here. All right? Anyway, the Western world's having its backlash right now, and it's going to get worse, y'all. So get ready. But anyway, I don't have much more to say over here. Just know there's a big, huge backlash happening in the Western world right now, and It's not just for believers in the West, but believers worldwide. You need to get ready, y'all, because there are people outside the Western world that think, oh, the Western world's going down. We need to be next now. And now you have all these fights all over the world of woo-woo. It's going to compete for the next dominance. I would prefer believers to the tribe of Judah rising right now, which is most likely what's about to happen anyway. But anyway, give agreement Christ.